Hi and welcome to this very quick video about understanding Nashville charting system and the benefits of that in worship music. So we'll get straight to it. Nashville is a system developed primarily from the use of numbers in music, and what they simply mean is the basis of the degrees of the scale. And so if I talk very quickly about what a scale is, a scale is a sequence of tones and semitones. And so if we take C major as our example scale, C major being, the notes in that are C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. And very quickly, the distance between C and D is a tone. The reason for that is there's a note in between. Just so happens to be black. And so we say that the first distance to make is tone. The distance between D and E is also a tone because there's a note in between. The distance between E and F, however, there's no note in between, so we call that a semitone. And I'm just abbreviating this to tone, tone, semitone, T, T, S, T. And then F and G, it's tone, G and A, it's a tone, A and B, it's a tone, and B and C, it's a semitone. And so the sequence of a major scale is tone, tone, semitone, tone, 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 semitone. And if you start that sequence beginning on any note on the piano, you will get a major scale. Sometimes you may have to use a black key or two to make it work properly. And so if I show you that by example, the sequence that I did on C major, then goes to G. If you started it there, travel a tone, you get A, travel a tone, you get B, travel a semitone, you get C, travel a tone, you get D, travel a tone, you get E, travel another tone, you get F sharp, and then travel a semitone, you get G. And so then within that scale, then there are obviously going to have to be notes that have to make sense in that. So in C major, we don't use any black keys because the sequence doesn't work if we use black keys. And so if we were to play a C major chord, it's all white keys. In fact, all of the chords relating to all of the notes of the scale of C major are all white keys. And so what you get then, C major again as our example, the first chord in C major is C major. The second chord in C major is D minor, because that's a major chord. When I move up a note, it becomes a minor chord. A major chord would sound like this. It's not a major chord in C major because there's no F sharp in C major. So we get D minor. Then the third note in the scale is E. It becomes E minor as well too, because if we played E major, there would be a G sharp, and unfortunately there's no G sharp in C major. Then the fourth chord would be F major. Fifth chord would be G major. Sixth chord would be A minor, again because if we played major there'd be an A sharp in the middle, or a C sharp in the middle. There is no C sharp in C major. And then the last chord, I'm going to explain in a second, but I'm going to show you. You see that clearly down here. All of the chords. It's the same in every major scale. It's the same in every major key. That if you were to play chord 1 in F major, it will have to be a major chord. But if you play chord 2 in F major, it will have to be a minor chord. And so the sequence is the same for all of them. Now, I said I'd come back to the 7th chord. Technically, when you play the 7th chord in a major key, it's going to become what is called a diminished chord. And so I'll show you that very quickly. So B major has 2 sharps, B minor. You lower the middle note and you get B minor. And then for a diminished chord, you lower the 5th note and you get a diminished chord. Because C has no sharps or flat, that is the note, that is the chord we use for the 7th note of C, which is B. Problem is, it's not a very well used worship chord, and so generally actually I would tell people that the more common way that worship musicians will play a 7 is by flattening the 7th altogether. So instead of playing a B, we'll actually play a B flat. And so what that'll sound like is, so for example, Which sounds a wee bit more familiar to our ears. So I'm going to write B diminished for this last chord, because technically that's theoretically correct. But I'll write a slash beside, so you can see. B diminished slash flattened seventh, which would be B flat major. So I'll put this document online with this as well too, so you can see, except in a more legible version. So if this is the sequence then of major and minor chords that has to make a scale major, what we have then in every major key is the first chord will always be major, the second chord will always be minor, the third will always be minor, the fourth will always be major, the fifth will always be major, the sixth will always be minor, and the seventh will, for me, will be a flattened seventh major. So, that in mind means I can play a chord progression that I've learned in any key, because I just learned it by the numbers. So say for example I wanted to play Alive in You by Jesus Culture. I'll choose C to begin us with. I hear in the track that it moves from a 4, you are God, to the 1, 5, 6, 4, 1, 6, back to 5. And the worship leader says, actually that's too low, can we change the key? Let's go to F. All I need to do is play the 4 in F, which, 1, 2, 3, 4, is B flat major. F major, 5, 6, 4, 1, 6, 5. Easy peasy, really, really quick and easy transposition. It also means as well too that you can 9 times out of 10 guess what's coming. In worship music, generally there's the use of the 1, the 5, the 6, the 4, and sometimes a 3 or a 2. The 3 or the 2 are generally not as common, but they are very, very nice, and so I'll give you a couple of examples of those. This is the use of a 3 minor chord that I quite like in No Longer Slaves by Bethel. You unravel me with a melody, you surround me with a song of deliverance from my enemies. That's the 3 minor. Till all my fears are gone. And so if I then wanted to transpose that to a different key, say if I wanted to come down to G, you unravel me with a melody. Let's play the 3. You surround me with a song. So what I've got there is a B minor, because the 3rd note in G is B, and it says by this it has to be a minor chord. So I give a B minor. Oh, consuming fire, you're our heart's desire. And so what I'm playing there is a 6, 4, a 1, and a 2, which actually is not an uncommon progression for Jesus Culture. Like, you must like the 2. I like the 2. So 6, all consuming fire, 4, back to 1, 2. And so let's run through that again very quickly. The 6 has to be minor, and an E, 1, 2, 3, 5, is a C sharp, so we're going to play a C sharp minor chord. And then down we'll come to A, which has to be major, according to this, which is there. And then the 1, which will be E major, and the 2, which will be F sharp, has to be a minor. I'm playing an F sharp minor. Now if I wanted to change key very quickly to that, let's say I wanted to go to B. I started on the 6, I started on the 6 and B. Down to the 4, back to the 1, and up to the 2. Now it does require you to know your scales and your keys inside out. And I'm going to do a video on that very, very soon to explain that. But that is the basics of Nashville chords. So thanks very much for watching this tutorial. Hopefully I've explained everything somewhat clearly. And if there's any confusion or anything you want some advice on regarding Nashville or any other music theory issues, please get in contact. Brilliant.
That's the extent of my skills.
I thought you were coming up to my office to teach me, not doing my video.
You look at the guest, are you? Your moment of fame. And so say for example I wanted to play, let's think of a song. If I wanted to play, why can't I think of any songs? Let's think of a song. Oh yeah, right, okay. So say for example